In 2025, one of the most heated and emotionally charged debates around the world is not about technology, climate change, or even global politics. It's about marriage. More specifically, it's about who gets to marry, whose unions are recognized by the state, and how sudden legal changes can disrupt the lives of millions. The recent announcement of the 2025 marriage ban targeting same-sex couples has sent shockwaves through communities, courts, and households. Whether you are part of the LGBTQ+ community, an ally, or simply someone who values human rights, this issue goes far beyond a political headline. It is a deeply personal matter. It's about love, security, and the legal protections that bind two lives together. For many couples, marriage is more than a celebration or a romantic milestone. It is the foundation that guarantees legal rights, inheritance, shared health benefits, joint property ownership, medical decision-making, and even parental rights. When the law changes, those protections can vanish overnight. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that the person you have built your life with is no longer recognized as your spouse in the eyes of the law. The thought alone is terrifying. The 2025 ban does not exist in a vacuum. It is the culmination of years of legal battles, political campaigning, and shifting cultural narratives. Some governments have framed it as a protection of traditional values, while human rights advocates argue it is a blatant step backward in the fight for equality. What's at stake here is not just the right to marry, but the very notion of personal freedom in a democratic society. If a government can decide who is allowed to marry today, what will stop it from restricting other personal freedoms tomorrow? This situation is not only a problem for those seeking to marry in the future, it also raises questions for couples who are already married. Will their marriages be annulled? Will they lose tax benefits or shared property rights? Will their parental status be challenged if they are raising children together? These questions have turned into an emotional and legal minefield for countless families. The ban's ripple effect stretches far beyond the LGBTQ+ community. Allies, friends, relatives, and even businesses that provide services to married couples are now being pulled into the uncertainty. Employers must navigate whether to continue extending benefits to same-sex spouses. Schools may face legal confusion regarding parental rights for children of same-sex couples. Communities that once celebrated diversity are now experiencing division and fear. But perhaps the most dangerous impact is the cultural message this ban sends, that certain types of love and commitment are less worthy of recognition than others. It is not only a legal change, but a signal that discrimination is once again being dressed up as policy. And that, history tells us, is a slippery slope. Loss of legal recognition. When a government withdraws the legal recognition of a marriage, it does far more than change the wording in a law book. It alters the very fabric of people's lives. For same-gender couples in 2025, the loss of legal recognition under the marriage ban is not simply a matter of titles or paperwork. It is a sudden stripping away of rights, protections, and stability that many fought for decades to secure. Marriage, in legal terms, is not just a symbolic union. It is a binding contract that guarantees spouses certain rights, inheritance without extra legal hurdles, the ability to make medical decisions for each other, joint property ownership, tax benefits, pension access, and more. When a state or country suddenly decides that a same-gender marriage no longer counts, it erases those rights overnight. A couple who woke up yesterday as legal spouses may find themselves today reduced to strangers in the eyes of the law. Imagine a couple who has been married for 10 years. They share a home, have built financial security together, and have always been able to make life and death decisions for one another in emergencies. With the stroke of a pen, the government tells them that they are now unmarried. The consequences are immediate and brutal. One partner could be denied the right to visit the other in the hospital. Their shared assets might suddenly be treated as individually owned, leading to disputes, taxes, or even forced sales. If one partner dies without an updated will, the other could lose the home they have lived in for years. The emotional toll is equally devastating. Legal recognition is more than a bureaucratic formality. It is an acknowledgement by society that your relationship is valid, respected, and protected. Stripping that recognition sends a clear message. Your love is not worthy of the same dignity or protection as others. This not only inflicts deep personal pain, but also fuels discrimination, giving permission to those who already view same-gender relationships as less than. Loss of legal recognition also creates chaos in areas that most people take for granted. Health insurance tied to spousal benefits can vanish, leaving one partner without coverage. Immigration status for binational couples can suddenly be thrown into jeopardy. Parents in same-gender marriages may find their parental rights questioned or challenged in court, particularly if they are not the biological parent. The 2025 marriage ban has made it painfully clear that legal protections are not guaranteed forever. Even victories that seemed permanent can be reversed if political climates shift. This reality forces couples to live with uncertainty, constantly fearing that a change in government could upend their lives once again. In the end, loss of legal recognition is not just about removing a legal title. It is about dismantling a safety net. It takes away rights that were hard-won, destabilizes families, and sends a dangerous property and inheritance issues. When two people marry, they don't just share love, they often share property, finances, and the security of knowing that the law will protect what they've built together. But for same-gender couples living under the shadow of the 2025 marriage ban, this protection is no longer guaranteed. One of the most painful and far-reaching consequences of losing legal recognition is the risk of property disputes and inheritance battles that can tear apart the life partners worked so hard to create. Before the ban, a married couple could expect joint property ownership to be legally recognized. If one partner passed away, the other would automatically inherit the home, assets, or savings they had accumulated together without needing to fight for them in court. But under the new legal reality, same-gender marriages may be treated as if they never existed. Without legal marriage status, surviving partners could be viewed as unrelated in the eyes of the law, even if they spent decades building a shared life. This opens the door for families, relatives, or even the state to claim ownership of property that rightfully belongs to the surviving partner. Imagine losing your spouse, only to have their family members, who may have never accepted your relationship, demand that you leave the home you both lived in. Inheritance laws in many regions automatically prioritize legal spouses and blood relatives, leaving unmarried partners with little or no claim unless a will is in place. And even when there is a will, relatives can contest it, arguing that the relationship was not legally valid. The situation becomes even more complicated for couples who own businesses together. Without marriage recognition, the surviving partner might lose ownership rights, control over business accounts, or even access to joint investments. What was once a shared livelihood can quickly become a legal nightmare. For many couples, property and inheritance issues are not just about money, they're about security and stability. The thought of losing your home or savings during the most vulnerable moment of your life is devastating. Legal experts often advise creating detailed wills, trusts, and co-ownership agreements, but even these can be challenged when discriminatory laws favor blood relatives over life partners. This is why the marriage ban is not simply a symbolic political statement. It has real-world consequences that can leave people homeless, financially ruined, or forced into lengthy and expensive legal battles just to keep what was already theirs. Property and inheritance rights are a silent but powerful reason why marriage equality matters. It's not just about love, it's about ensuring that love is protected by law, so that when tragedy strikes, couples aren't left fighting for their own lives in courtrooms. The 2025 ban strips away this safety net for many same-gender couples, turning what should be a time of mourning into a time of conflict. Parental rights at risk. When we think about marriage equality, we often picture wedding celebrations, legal protections, and the joy of being recognized as a family. But behind that celebration lies one of the most important and fragile aspects of marriage for same-gender couples: parental rights. In 2025, with the looming marriage ban in some regions, this issue is no longer theoretical. For many LGBTQ+ parents, the security of their relationship with their children is hanging by a legal thread. The law doesn't just recognize two people as a couple, it also provides the framework for defining their relationship to their children. In many countries, when a married heterosexual couple has a child, the law automatically recognizes both partners as legal parents, even if one is not biologically related. This automatic recognition has been one of the key protections for same-gender couples since marriage equality was legalized. But when that legal marriage is revoked or unrecognized, the non-biological parent can suddenly lose all rights, turning a loving caregiver into, legally speaking, a stranger. Consider this reality. Two women have been raising a child together for 5 years. One is the biological mother, the other is the non-biological parent who has fed, bathed, taught, and loved that child since birth. Under marriage equality, both were recognized as legal parents. But under a marriage ban, the law may no longer view the non-biological parent as having any legal relationship with the child. Overnight, that parent could lose custody rights, decision-making power for education or medical care, and even visitation rights in the event of a breakup. This isn't a rare or exaggerated scenario. It has happened before in places where marriage rights were rolled back. In some heartbreaking cases, courts have sided with the biological parent or even distant relatives over the non-biological parent who has been the child's primary caregiver. Children have been uprooted from stable homes simply because the law refused to recognize the family structure they had known their whole lives. The risks extend beyond custody battles. Imagine a child falls ill and the non-biological parent rushes them to the hospital. Without legal parental status, they may be denied the ability to authorize treatment. Imagine trying to enroll your child in school, but being told your name cannot appear on official documents. These barriers aren't just legal, they are emotional wounds, constantly reminding both parent and child that their bond is seen as less than in the eyes of the state. Defenders of the ban may argue that other legal arrangements, such as adoption or guardianship, can solve the problem. But these processes are often expensive, lengthy, and sometimes blocked outright for same-gender couples. Marriage equality was supposed to remove those obstacles, not bring them back. Loss of spousal benefits. Marriage, in the eyes of the law, is more than a celebration of love. It is also a binding agreement that unlocks a range of financial, medical, and legal protections. For many couples, these benefits are an invisible safety net that they rarely think about until it's gone. With the introduction of the 2025 marriage ban targeting same-gender couples, the loss of spousal benefits is becoming a harsh reality, shaking the foundation of countless families. Spousal benefits often feel like background privileges, but they are deeply intertwined with everyday life. Health insurance is one of the most significant. In many countries, employers extend coverage to employees' spouses, meaning that one partner's job can provide medical security for both. For same-gender couples whose marriages are suddenly deemed invalid, this could mean immediate loss of coverage. Imagine a spouse undergoing cancer treatment or managing a chronic illness, only to wake up one morning and learn they are no longer covered because the law no longer recognizes their marriage. The health crisis then becomes a financial crisis. Pensions and retirement plans are another critical benefit under threat. Many retirement systems offer surviving spouse pensions or allow a partner to inherit retirement savings without heavy taxation. If legal marriage status is removed, these rights can disappear overnight, leaving surviving partners without a financial safety net after losing their loved one. For couples who have planned their entire future based on these protections, the blow is devastating. Tax benefits also play a quiet but powerful role in married life. In many systems, married couples enjoy reduced tax rates, shared deductions, and the ability to transfer assets without penalties. When a marriage is no longer recognized, couples may face a sudden increase in tax burdens. This shift can be especially brutal for households where one partner earns significantly more or where a stay-at-home partner depends financially on the other. The loss of spousal benefits doesn't stop there. Life insurance payouts, Social Security survivor benefits, and even discounts on joint purchases like mortgages or car loans are often tied to marital status. Without legal recognition, surviving partners may find themselves battling insurance companies or banks to prove their right to benefits they once took for granted. These are not small inconveniences. They can be the difference between financial stability and economic collapse. Beyond the financial toll, the emotional weight of losing spousal benefits is heavy. It sends a painful message that a couple's love and commitment are seen as less legitimate or worthy of protection. It turns a relationship into a legal vulnerability where one partner's well-being is no longer automatically safeguarded by the other's rights. Immigration and residency problems. For many couples, marriage is more than a celebration of love. It is a bridge that connects people across borders. It is the legal foundation that allows one partner to live, work, and build a life with their spouse in a country they might not otherwise be able to call home. But in the wake of the 2025 same-sex marriage ban, that bridge has begun to crumble for countless same-gender couples. What was once a straightforward path to residency or citizenship has now turned into a legal nightmare filled with uncertainty, fear, and the looming threat of separation. In many countries, marriage is a central pathway for obtaining a spousal visa, permanent residency, or even citizenship. A same-gender couple where one partner is a foreign national could, until recently, rely on their legal marriage to secure the right to live together in the same country. Now, with the marriage no longer recognized, immigration authorities may treat these couples as legal strangers. Applications for spousal visas can be rejected outright, renewals can be denied, and existing residency permits can be revoked. The consequences are devastating. Imagine spending years building a home, a career, and a community in one country, only to be told that you must leave because your marriage is no longer valid in the eyes of the state. This is not a distant, theoretical concern. It is the lived reality for couples who are suddenly facing deportation orders or being forced into long-distance relationships simply because the law has changed. The emotional toll is equally severe. Many couples are now caught between the decision to uproot their entire lives and move to a country where their marriage is recognized or to live apart, visiting each other when possible, often for short periods due to visa restrictions. For those raising children, the stakes are even higher. Moving countries could mean disrupting education, social networks, and access to healthcare. Financial strain is another harsh reality. Immigration lawyers, relocation expenses, loss of employment, and repeated travel costs quickly add up. For couples without significant savings, navigating this legal chaos can push them into debt or financial instability. Employers, too, may be forced to terminate employment contracts if a worker's residency status is no longer valid, creating an additional layer of insecurity. The situation becomes even more complex for couples living in regions where LGBTQ+ rights are severely restricted. Moving back to a partner's home country could mean facing open discrimination, job loss, or even danger to personal safety. For some, the marriage ban isn't just a threat to their relationship, it's a threat to their lives. Medical decision-making restrictions, when love meets the law. One of the most heartbreaking consequences of marriage bans or the loss of marriage recognition is the sudden disappearance of a right most couples take for granted: the ability to make medical decisions for your partner. For same-gender couples, this is not just a hypothetical risk, it is a lived reality that has unfolded countless times in hospitals, clinics, and emergency rooms around the world. Marriage does more than formalize a relationship. It grants a legal framework that allows spouses to act on each other's behalf during moments of crisis. When an accident happens or a serious illness strikes, medical professionals often need immediate decisions, whether it's authorizing a life-saving surgery, approving a treatment plan, or determining end-of-life care. Without legal recognition of the marriage, same-gender partners can be left powerless in these critical moments, even if they have shared decades of life together. Imagine this scenario: your spouse collapses suddenly and is rushed to the hospital. You arrive, frantic and terrified, only to be told you cannot accompany them into the treatment area because you are not legally family. As the clock ticks, Doctors seek consent for urgent procedures, but because your relationship is not recognized under the law, they turn to a distant relative you barely know, or worse, one who disapproves of your relationship. The result? Life and death decisions are made without your input, and your partner's wishes may be ignored entirely. This is not an exaggerated story. It has happened to same-gender couples in countries and states where marriage equality is not recognized. Even legal documents like medical powers of attorney can be challenged in moments of crisis, especially if hostile family members contest them or if hospital staff are unsure about the legal standing. Medical decision-making restrictions are not only a legal problem, they're an emotional trauma. To be shut out from your partner's care during their most vulnerable moments is devastating. It sends a cruel message that your love, your shared history, and your mutual commitment are invisible in the eyes of the state. The consequences extend beyond emergency situations. In long-term illness, partners may be denied the ability to choose a nursing facility, approve pain management options, or even access medical records. Without legal recognition, their voice carries no more weight than a stranger's, no matter how deep their emotional bond. This issue also exposes a dangerous truth. Equality is not just about the right to marry. It is about the right to protect and care for the person you love when it matters most. Legal marriage ensures that no one can override your role as a decision-maker. Removing that recognition puts couples at the mercy of outdated laws, discriminatory policies, and, sometimes, unsympathetic relatives. Emotional and social impact. When a law changes to strip away the recognition of a marriage, it is not just paperwork that disappears. It is an entire foundation of trust, safety, and belonging. For same-gender couples affected by the 2025 marriage ban, the emotional and social consequences are as heavy as the legal ones, if not heavier. These couples are not just losing a title, they are being told, in the most official way possible, that their love is less valid, less worthy, and less deserving of protection. That message doesn't just stay in courtrooms, it seeps into the everyday lives of those it targets. The emotional toll begins with the shock of losing something that once felt permanent. Marriage is often described as the ultimate commitment, a public promise of love and partnership. When that commitment is suddenly declared void by law, couples are forced to process grief similar to a breakup, but without the actual end of the relationship. It's a unique kind of pain. The love is still there, but the security and validation that came with legal recognition are gone. This can create deep feelings of helplessness, anxiety, and even shame, as couples wrestle with the idea that their most personal choice has been overruled by politics. Socially, the impact spreads quickly. Friends, coworkers, and even extended family members may react differently once the marriage is no longer recognized. Some may unintentionally or intentionally downplay the seriousness of the relationship, no longer seeing it as real in the absence of legal backing. This can isolate couples, making them feel like outsiders in communities where they once felt at home. Public perception is also affected. A marriage ban sends a cultural signal that same-gender relationships are less legitimate, encouraging discrimination and prejudice. People who were previously silent about their disapproval may feel emboldened to express harmful opinions, knowing the law now appears to side with them. In workplaces, neighborhoods, and even friend circles, couples may find themselves navigating increased judgment or exclusion. The stress of living in this environment can strain even the strongest relationships. Constantly defending one's love and legitimacy takes a mental and emotional toll, sometimes leading to depression, emotional withdrawal, or tension between partners. It's not unusual for couples in such situations to feel as though they are fighting two battles at once, one against the legal system and another against the daily microaggressions and social coldness that follow. For many, the loss of marriage recognition is also a loss of a symbolic milestone. Weddings are not just legal events, they are moments of celebration, memory, and pride. Having that stripped away forces couples to relive the hurt every time they are asked about their status or invited to events where their relationship is treated as secondary. The 2025 marriage ban is not just another chapter in the long history of legal battles over love. It is a reminder that rights are not permanent unless we actively defend them. If history has taught us anything, it is that progress can be reversed. Every freedom we enjoy today was fought for by someone before us, and it can be taken away if we become complacent. The question, is your marriage at risk, is not hypothetical anymore. It is a reality for countless couples who thought their vows were legally unshakable. For those who are already married, the emotional strain is only matched by the legal uncertainty. For those planning to marry, the dream has become a political negotiation. And for society as a whole, the ban forces us to look in the mirror and ask, do we truly believe in equality, or do we only support it when it's convenient? We cannot afford to think that this only affects other people. The precedent set by this ban could extend beyond marriage, opening the door for governments to chip away at other civil liberties. When the definition of marriage is narrowed by law, it is not just an attack on the LGBTQ+ community, it is an attack on the very principles of freedom, dignity, and the right to live without fear of losing everything you've built with the person you love. This is why awareness matters. Silence, in times like this, is not neutrality, it is consent. Every voice raised in opposition to unjust laws sends a message that love is not negotiable, that human rights cannot be reduced to a political bargaining chip, and that equality is worth protecting at all costs. If you are wondering what you can do, the answer lies in both small and large actions. Support advocacy groups, share verified information, speak to your community, and challenge discriminatory narratives when you hear them. These may seem like small acts, but together they create the cultural pressure that drives legal change. The 2025 ban will be remembered in history books, but how it is remembered depends on us. Will it be seen as a turning point toward greater injustice, or as the spark that reignited the fight for true equality? That choice is in the hands of ordinary people who refuse to accept that love should ever be illegal. In the end, marriage is more than a contract. It is a promise, a partnership, and a declaration of human dignity. Laws may attempt to dictate who can and cannot share that bond, but the human heart remains defiantly free. The question is, will we let the law catch up to the truth of that freedom, or will we watch as it falls further behind? The time to act is now, because when love is under threat, silence is not an option.